To start off, you want to just wrap the yarn around your finger, just like if you were going to be tying a knot. But instead of pulling the thread all the way through the circle, you want to just lay it across the center and then take your crochet hook and pick up that straight piece that's there. Then hold the tail and the rest of the yarn tight, and then you'll pull it up and make a knot. Okay, then you pull the short tail down to make it tighter on your hook, and if it's too tight, you pull the long thread to make the loop bigger. Okay, so you want to have it on your hook about the width of the fattest part of your crochet hook will probably work, because then when you slide it down here, see, you have a little bit of extra space there to work with. So if you put it tight against that, you're pretty good. Okay, the way you hold your thread or your yarn is, and I know not everyone does it this way, but this is the way I learned, and this is the way that works for me. So open your palm and wrap the yarn across the top of your pinky finger. Okay, when you come up over, don't wrap again there, but cross the next two fingers and then go under your index finger. Okay, so this is how you hold the thread, and this is what allows you to hold the tension on your thread to make the thread looser or tighter when you're doing your stitches. So again, you open your palm face up, thread goes over the pinky, around, over the top, the next two fingers, and under the index finger. Okay, and if the thread rides right up here where this knuckle is, you're able to control the thread tension better. If it gets wrapped too far underneath, say back here, and you wrap this, then it has a tendency to get stuck a lot of times there. So if you can make it work around this lower knuckle, you have a little bit more control here. Okay, all right. Some people, it's easier for them to hold the crochet hook at the top with your hand over it. For me, it's easier to hold it under, and I keep my ring finger on the stitches right here. And you always want to hold, with the hand that's holding the yarn, you always want to hold your stitches close to the crochet hook. It gives you much better control. So to begin making a chain, you take your crochet hook and go under the thread, the yarn, and pull it through. That's one chain. Okay, now you want to move your fingers up to hold it so that you're close to the hook, the stitch that's on the hook. So you're always going to be moving your hands under and through, under and through, under and through. And you'll see if they're too big, you can kind of pull them a little and tighten up the stitches. But this is what you're making. This is a chain. Okay, so you just keep going under and through, under and pull through. Okay, now when you get real good with this and you feel real comfortable making a chain, you can go on to the next step. I'm going to put a couple more chain stitches on here. If you were holding it overhand, if you were holding the hook overhand, you kind of manage your stitches with your index finger, and you go in this way. Okay, same thing, you're still going under and pulling through, under and pulling through. But you see how it does kind of change your stitches a little. Do you see what that is? Do you see how that looks? A little bit more open as compared to these. So I think to me, you just have better control if you hold the crochet hook kind of like you would hold a pencil. and then just rest your fingers at the top of the hook like so. Okay, and all the while my thread's just gently being pulled through my fingers. Okay. All right, so that's a chain. Okay, the next stitch that you typically learn is a single crochet. So to do a single crochet, you're going to start making rows along the line of this chain. Okay, so what you do is you chain. Well, actually, you don't have to chain on the first row. Let's start here. You skip the very first chain stitch that's directly under your hook. You skip that one and go to the second one. You can see that stitch there. Put the crochet hook through that stitch. Pull the thread through. Okay, now you have 2 on the hook. Okay, and then pull the thread through one more time. That's a single crochet. So you do the next stitch, go down through the stitch, pull a thread through. Now you have 2. Pull a thread through, you have 1. And you'll see it take shape the more of these single crochets you get on the chain. You'll see it make sense. Some of these stitches I did are a little bit loose, so they're pulling a little bit big, but you'll get the idea anyway. Okay. So you just go into each one of these stitches that you see along the line here. So now I'm going into the next one. Hook in, pull the thread through. Hook, pull the thread through 2. Hook in, pull the thread through. Pull the thread through. Hook in, pull the thread through. Pull the thread through. And this is a single crochet. So you can see how your chain now is becoming thicker. Okay, more solid. Okay, so I'm going to just continue to make these on down the line here. Single crochets in each stitch. And you should just do this and practice it till you get comfortable holding the thread and holding the needle. And you notice how my thumb here keeps moving constantly. I'm constantly moving to catch hold of the stitches that I'm working on. Okay. All right, we're getting close to the end here. Okay, that's the last one. Okay. Okay, so that's what's been created so far. That's one row of chain and 1 row of single crochet. Okay, now to continue this and to build up another row, what you do is chain 1 and turn it over. Okay. Now since I chained 1, I'm going to go directly into the first stitch of the single crochet. We didn't do that before because I just used one of the stitches on the chain to be my chain 1. So now that we're done with the chaining part, you chain 1, and then if you look at, I'm going to show you this. When you're looking at the work you've done, you see this is the bottom here is the chain, and this is the single crochet row. And if you look right at the top, it looks like a chain right across the very top. Those are the stitches that you're going to be working into, putting your hook down into. Just like we put it into the chain earlier, Well, this time we'll be putting the hook through the single crochet. Okay, so get my thread back here again. And in most cases, you'll put the hook through both pieces of that single crochet. Sometimes if you're making something, the instructions will say in the back loop only or in the front loop only, and they're talking about this is the front loop and this is the back loop. But most of the time you'll be stitching right through both of them like that. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to go right through both. Got both of them are on the hook. I'm going to pull the thread through and pull the thread through. The next stitch is here. I'm going to put it through both. See how I have both on the hook? Okay, and then you want to pull it through and then pull it through. Go through both. Oops, I got it stuck on something. If it gets stuck, just pull the stitch out that you just made and try again. I had gone through one of the plies of the yarn there. Got stuck. All right. Go through two and pull through. Go through two. And pull through. And it just takes a little bit of practice to get it flowing really well and to where it looks the way it should and have all the stitches even. You want to make sure you have plenty of loose thread yarn pulled off the skein so that things aren't tight. Okay, just gives you a little slack to work with. Okay, see I'm doing the same thing all the way across. And it gets easier. The more you do, the easier it gets. I've been doing this for many, many years. Gosh, I've probably been crocheting for 40 years at least, off and on. And I still need reminders from time to time. I'll forget how to do a particular stitch and I'll go on YouTube myself and look up what needs to be done. Okay. Oops, I missed a part of that stitch. There we go. Okay, so now we're at the end of the row. Okay, here's what it looks like. Okay, now you have one row of chain, one row of single crochet here, and one row of single crochet here. And then to continue, you're going to do the same thing. Chain one, turn your piece over, go into, and now you can, as it gets bigger, it's easier to see too. Now you can see a distinct hole underneath where in each place where your crochet hook is going to go. Do you see that? Okay, so you're going to just insert the hook and see it's going through both of the stitches. See it at the top there. Okay, and pull through. Goes in and pull through two. Okay, so that's all you do. That's a chain stitch and a single crochet stitch. All right, now I'm going to show you one more stitch for this basic tutorial here. I'm going to take these out, these single crochets, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to go back to the end of the other row. I'm going to show you a double crochet. All right, and this just requires one more, well, a couple more steps, I guess, but they're very simple and basic. Okay, so to turn your work and start double crochet, you're going to chain 2. Okay, turn your work, and this time before you put the hook through the stitch, you're going to loop the yarn over the crochet hook, then put it into the hole and pull your thread through, and now you have 3 loops on your hook. And then you take the thread and pull it through 2, and then you have 2 on the hook. Then you pull the thread through again, 2, and that is a double crochet. And you chained 2 over here so that this would come up even and be the same height basically as your double crochet. And we chained 1 when we were turning for single crochets. We chained 1 so that that stitch coming up and around would be the same height as the single crochet. Okay, so to continue this, you loop your thread over the hook into the stitch, pull through once, pull through once, and pull through again. Double crochet. Loop your yarn over into the stitch, pull through two stitches, and then pull through 2 more stitches. See how these are taller? See, that makes a higher stitch. Loop over and into, go through 2, go through 2, loop over into the stitch, pull through once and twice. Okay, you see the difference? A single crochet is this size, okay, this size, and then the double crochet is this size. See? So that's how you do it. So this is just a basic beginner's tutorial just to show you these couple of stitches. These are very common stitches that you'll see in beginner patterns. And once you know how to do these, it's pretty simple to make. You can make like a blanket and headbands and bracelets and stuff like that, just knowing these few stitches. Now I'll show you one other thing. We get to the end of this row. We're almost there. Okay, here's the last stitch. Two and then 2. Okay, so here's what your piece will look like. Okay. All right, now when your instructions tell you to finish off, which means you're going to cut the thread, and you want to, basically it's like knotting the thread here so that your stitches won't come out when you cut the thread. So what you do is you just chain, like you're doing a chain. You pull through like that, and I tend to like hold everything tight and kind of pull that kind of snug right there. Okay, and then you just snip your thread. Leave a little bit of a tail on your thread when you snip it, so you'll have some room to feed that back through. I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, so now your thread is cut, and then you just simply pull your crochet hook until your thread comes loose, and then you've got it basically knotted there, and that won't unravel. Okay, so that's how you do that. And then let's see if I have a needle here. I find this easier to do if you have a tapestry needle. I don't think I have one right here. Just a minute. Okay, here we go. A tapestry needle is like, it looks like a giant needle. It's fat, it's very blunt on the end, and it has a large eye. So what you do is you take your yarn, and just to make it easier to thread, it's hard to thread a needle with different plies of yarn trying to go through the hole. So if you take your thread and wrap it over the needle and hold it very tightly right at the bottom and slip the needle out, then it's easy enough to pinch that right through the hole. And this is why we leave a little bit of a longer piece. So when you're finished, you have to do something with those ends. You can't cut it real close down here because potentially it could unravel. So you just want to take that then, and then just kind of weave it through your piece, and it just kind of hides the tail basically. And you don't pull it real tight, you just kind of leave it loose in there, and then just kind of go back the other way, and you just weave it through here and there. If you're doing different colors of yarn, of course you want to weave it on the same color that you want to weave onto the same color on the piece. Don't weave a blue tail into a white section. Okay, so you've got that through there, and then just kind of loosen it up. Make sure it's not pulling real tight and making your thread buckle or anything. Making your piece buckle, I mean. And then you can snip that pretty close. And there, no more tail. This is the original one we started with. That's how you do that. So then you would do the same thing with this piece. This is a little too short to do with the needle. So I would suggest that when you make your very beginning loop to start, make sure you leave a longer tail, so you have room to take a needle and weave it in. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.